What's up, man? Hector here, StrongAsHeck.com. If you're new to the channel, my name's Hector Gutierrez Jr. For 11 years, I've been helping guys just like you build stronger and more capable bodies so they can train Jiu-Jitsu more often while getting injured less. And how to do this in about 90 minutes or less per week so you can spend more time doing what it is that you enjoy and less time trying to be the best at exercise. If that's you, welcome to the channel. Let's dive into today's episode. Okay, in today's episode, we're gonna be breaking down the squat in a few of its different variations. Now, if you missed the first episode in this series, over my shoulder, there'll be a link to part 1. Be sure to check that out. That way you get a good understanding of what we're doing over these next few videos, all right? So today we're gonna be focusing on squat variations. The first one is gonna be just a traditional goblet squat. This is nothing new. You've probably seen this exercise all over YouTube and all over the world, but I want to break down how we approach it differently for the goblet squat and how it will likely be easier for you to learn this exercise. The way we teach our students how to do the goblet squat is we start from the bottom up, okay? It is biomechanically harder to squat from the top down, right? And plus, the last time that I checked, in everyday life, not everything is going to be hanging from a tree or somewhere, or barbell rack where you're going to be able to get underneath the weight and squat down and then up, right? Oftentimes, if you have to pick someone up off the floor, if you're training jiu-jitsu and you're in the guard, oftentimes you're going to be on the floor, and you've got to know how to work your way up, maintaining strong posture to get in strong position. That way you can execute the weight, execute the guard pass, whatever that is, okay? So highly recommend learning how to squat from the ground up. One of the primary reasons is this is how you learned to squat when you were 7, 8 months old, 9 months old, okay? So when you're a kid, right, when you were just a little one, you couldn't stand in the first place, right? So you're on all 6 points here. And eventually what you learn to do is you learn to crawl, right? You learn to control your head, you learn to crawl, and then from there you would find a table or a chair and you'd get into this deep squat position. You'd push down with your hands and then you'd stand up. And that was your first squat, right? And we all remember as a kid, every time that, you know, either ourselves or we watch our own kids do that, there's always like that sharp table somewhere nearby where they fall and hit their head, right? So learning how to and practicing squatting from the ground up is going to do more for you, for your strength endurance, your jiu-jitsu game, than learning how to deadlift the kettlebell to the rack and then squatting from the top down. Putting a barbell on your back, squatting from the top down. It's biomechanically more challenging to learn it that way, okay? Because you can't work on your posture and you can't work on your positioning, all right? Those are two key principles to getting better jiu-jitsu and getting stronger on the weightlifting mats, okay? So here's how you're gonna set up. You're gonna start on all 6 points, okay? Hands, knees, and toes, okay? From here, you're gonna have the bell somewhere around like sternum to belly button. Lean the bell forward, and then from here, you're going to stand up and straddle the bell. Again, just like as if you were 9 years old, finding that table and standing up. So you're gonna bring one foot, then the next foot. The bell's gonna be pretty much underneath your hips. From here, you're gonna grab the handle right where it meets the bell. We call this the horns, the horn of the bell. You're gonna grab it, and then you're going to curl it up to your chest. And you're just gonna sit here. And you're gonna work on your posture. So we want to keep our posture as upright as possible. This is why the goblet squat is so beneficial, is because it's the squat for the people. It's going to teach you how to squat correctly, okay? Because you have this counterbalance. If you've got stiff ankles, if you've got mileage on your body, you've got ankles, you've got tight feet, ankles, etc., it's going to be you're going to have a hard time squatting, okay? And putting a barbell on your back and trying to squat that way first is going to do more harm than good. So oftentimes when you're stiff and restricted in your ankles, your hips, or what have you, and you try to squat down and you try to keep your posture up, you feel like you're going to fall backwards. Well, the goblet squat gives you that counter, okay? So starting from the bottom, okay, get my feet flat, curl the bell to my chest, and get as upright as I can. And then from here, I just move the bell to give me a little bit of that counterweight as much as I need it. And what I want you to focus on doing here is give yourself a double chin. So we don't want to protrude our neck forward. We want to take our chin and pack our neck back. So you're going to pull your chin in, like you're going to give yourself a double chin. And you'll notice how, like my rounded posture, it gets stronger. It pulls and depresses my shoulder blades back, okay? It's going to give you a more stronger shoulder position too, okay? So once I curl, posture's up. Now, I want to find the right foot position. So everybody's hip structure is different. Your stance width, your foot position is going to be different than mine. So I don't like to tell people here, put your feet at this degree angle, what have you, because everybody's hip structure is different. So what I recommend you do in the beginning is start with your feet straight ahead. So start with your feet straight ahead, and then from there you're going to move around and you're going to find your foot position. So if I start with my feet straight ahead, okay, I grab the bell, and then as soon as I squat down, my feet stay pretty straight, but then from here, I'm working on my position. And I just kind of move my hips side to side and find that optimal position. And just for my hip structure, you see my feet turn out to whatever degree they need for me to be in the best position for me to squat, okay? So curl the bell to the chest, tall posture, pack your neck back, and get comfortable just sitting here. This is it. Get comfortable just sitting here. Again, one of the great things about the goblet squat is it teaches you how to squat. It helps you improve your posture. It helps you improve your position because the load is in front versus a barbell on your back or even a barbell front squat, kettlebell front squat. You can start to lose the weight, right? You get stuck underneath the weight. Here, front squat, you can just goblet squat, you can just drop the bell and you're not mid squat, right? You're not mid squat, so we have to drop it. Maybe you're squatting up and you're gonna drop it. Maybe you're coming down and you're gonna drop it, right? This just allows you to work on getting better at squatting. That's what we're trying to focus on here. And then from there, with the right volume, with the right reps and sets, you can really start to build that strength endurance, okay? But I highly recommend work on including this setup and this approach to the goblet squat. You'll see your BJJ get better. You'll see your posture for jiu-jitsu, because think about it. If you're in someone's closed guard and you have to start working your way standing up, you don't want to have your posture like all bent over. It's going to be easier for them to break you down, right? But if you work on setting this up and you keeping your posture up, right? And you work on getting good here, it's going to be hard for people to break you down, okay? So lots of carryover. Again, no such thing as sport-specific training, but more so focusing on training movement patterns. That's what has carryover to everything you do in life, whether it's jiu-jitsu, golf, playing with your kids, doesn't matter. The next variation is the reverse lunge. Again, starting from the bottom up, because that's generally your next progression in the developmental sequence, right? We all go through a particular developmental sequence from a child to adulthood. So normally, you know, kids are kind of like in this figure forward lunge position, and this is kind of how they learn to operate. They learn how to, you know, change positions, you know, shift weight. Usually starts in this lunge position. So that's our next progression here. So just like we did in part one, you want to get good at owning this 90-90 statically first. What I want you to focus on doing here is imagine the floor I'm on, they're like tiles. And I'm trying to, with this foot, pull the tile in this way. With this back foot, I'm trying to drag and pull the tiles in this way, okay? So when here, I'm not just passively here. I'm actively digging this into the ground. That's gonna get my hamstrings turned on. I wanna make sure I maintain shoulder, hip, and knee, okay? From here, we're gonna have the bell. What you're gonna focus on doing is, with this leg's trying to pull you up. So it's not so much just pushing down, but this leg is trying to pull you forward. and then this leg is driving down. So this leg's driving down, and this leg is pulling you up, okay? So you're gonna pull, and this one pushes down. Boom, and then that's your lunge, okay? But you wanna get good and practice in this static position. So you'll bring goblet squat bell up. Make sure hip, shoulder, knee are aligned, okay? Right as I get ready to go, I give the handle a nice tight squeeze, brace my abs, come up and down. Now, on the way back, you're gonna step back. You can plant in the beginning as you're learning, and then the same thing. I'm trying to drive this foot forward, and I'm trying to pull this leg back, like I'm trying to pull these mats together. So I call this like the running man, right? So it's kind of like you're running, okay? So I'm gonna try to run, and I'm gonna try to pull myself down. That's gonna give me complete control of the lunge versus passively just kind of collapse into the floor. You want to actively pull the mats together. That's what you're trying to accomplish there. And you're going to practice that on both sides, okay? Again, this is going to make your jiu-jitsu game better. This is going to make your life better because this is a single leg stance, right? This is essentially like your walking pattern. This is essentially walking, running, sprinting. You know, that's everything in this lunge pattern, right? So notice a common theme here. Everything we're focusing on are patterns, okay? So this is also, again, grappling, the arts, sports. A lot of sports are in this lunge type position, right? Being able to shoot for a takedown, right? Being able to be athletic, being able to change directions, all happens in this asymmetrical stance position. But we're not gonna strength train doing those movements. There's no sport specific training. Just getting good in these patterns carries over, okay? So you wanna use the same bell, goblet squat position, keep your weight centered, knee, hip, shoulder, okay? Tight grip on the bell, inhale, okay? I'm pulling with this leg, I'm pushing down with this leg, and like pulling myself forward. Then on the way down, as I step back, okay, I plant, and now same thing, I'm pulling down, and this one, I'm pulling my foot, like I'm gonna try to close the distance between my toes and my front heel. This gives me complete control of the descent, okay? Plus, if you're in the kettlebell space and you're trying to get better at get-ups, this is one of the biggest weaknesses I see. Aside from people losing the shoulder on the roll up and on the roll down, the lunge is often where I see things fall apart for people as well. So practicing this alone improves your strength for working on get-ups. It's gonna improve your posture in everyday sports, everyday life that requires single leg walking patterns, okay? So that's exercise number 2, the reverse lunge. That's the last progression, or the second progression. And the third one is the exact same thing we did in part 1, just bottom up. So you can do both of these exercises bottom up. So now, once you get into the goblet squat position, okay, hold the bell bottom up, and then you can work on squatting from this position here, okay? Same thing in your lunge. The bottom up position is self-correcting. Oftentimes, when people are front squatting, whether it's on one side or a double front squat, is this forearm. A lot of times, we can start to move this arm forward to counterbalance here, and essentially what we start doing is we start back squatting our front squat, right? We start to peel back this way versus keeping everything in tight and going straight down. So working on the bottom up variation is going to train your grip, which means it's going to train the shoulder health. Okay, well, not train your, you can't train your shoulder health, improve your shoulder health. 2, your abs and your grip are connected. So when you stimulate that grip, you're going to get more activation and recruitment from your abs. So don't be alarmed if your abs are a little sore or you feel them by practicing this, okay? So this keeps everything connected and engaged, okay? All that is just by the nature of changing the center of mass into more of a bottom-up squat position. And that's it. Put that stuff in action, practice it. Again, if you missed the first part, watch part 1, then check out this one in part 2 or put this stuff into action. If you're gonna practice this, I would set a timer for 20 minutes and just do sets of 3. On the goblet squat, you're just holding, coming up, 3 repetitions, 3 reverse lunges, and then work on some bottom up stuff. You're going to go light in the beginning with the bottom up as you're getting used to that instability factor of the bottom up position, okay? Again, set a timer for 20 minutes, practice this, sets of 3. Again, the whole goal, practice. You're not going crazy. You're not trying to, go ham or anything like that. The whole goal here is skill practice. The more skilled you get, the more efficient that you're gonna be, which means you're gonna be able to do more work long-term, okay? And that's how you get better in life, and that's actually how you get better when you're trying to strength train for Jiu-Jitsu as well. So if you're liking these videos, be sure to like it, subscribe, hit the notification button so you can be up to speed with the next video that we launch in this series. We're typically launching these off. We're publishing these Saturday mornings around 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, all right? So if you want to be in the loop of when we put those out, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, all right? That's all I got. See you on the next one. Peace.